welcome to the Hockenheimring here for the 9th round of competition in Season 9 of the SRL TCR League. We are ready for the penultimate round of competition here. Drivers have been out there practicing for the last hour. They've got 10 more minutes to get themselves used to the circuit and making sure that they are prepared for the 2 races that lie ahead of them tonight. We have got some great racing expected to come up, as always, in these TCR races that we get, and it is going to be a very interesting one with loads of points still on offer across the next 4 races. All the championships are still open, so it is anyone's game at this point, and it is going to require a lot of drivers to make some big moves, take some big chances to see what they can do. Important to know for this week, it was implemented last week. However, we didn't pick up on it in the commentary booth. It was something that we were told about later, and that is the change of Stephen Fry's class. He was in the amateur class. He has moved across today to the Pro-Am class. Well, that was last week. What that does mean is there has been a shift in not only the amateur standings within inside the top 10, it has also made a shift in some of those fun statistics that I like to talk about. Particularly last week at Winton, Stephen Fry crossed the line in race number 2, second overall. That took him the Pro-Am victory. So he did end up winning last week's class race. It was his first his Pro-Am victory of the season, which is great news for him. What it also does mean is that some of the amateur racers who had not taken victory because of Stephen Fry crossing that line first in class have now inherited a class victory in each of the different races, which means the changes are we have got a first-time winner in Chesney Vanderbroek. He takes the win in Zandvoort race number 1 in that amateur class. And then Thomas Coombs has moved from just 1 victory to 4 victories, with Stephen Fry now being moved out of the amateur class. And finally, Lucas Henschel has gone from having 4 race victories to 6 race victories, with Fry being moved into a different class. That is really important for those drivers, of course, in their own respective stats. It doesn't change the points that they have gained. The points coming from overall position and not class position means that those points do not change, but the statistics do. And as a fan of statistics myself, it's always nice to have a look at those statistics. Talking about some statistics, the championship standings are going to be some really good ones to look through. Dan Mould is still leading the pro standings, and that is with 770 points. He's 49 points clear. He is within the top 3 in the practice session at the moment, but that does not mean anything when we get in towards qualifying or the races. We see Kim Borkland holding on to that second position, though, a further 40 points clear of Arthur Thurtle. Thurtle not having the best weeks last week due to the contact in race number 1, but he did come back for the win in race number 2, of course. So it was a bit of an upsy-down weekend for him. Third in the championship right now, ahead of Tony Walker. Adam Delmont has fallen down a couple of positions in the championship. He has not been here for a few weeks. However, he is back here today. He's 6th fastest in the practice session right now, so looking to try and move further up the order. Let's jump across then to that Pro-Am category, and it is Cooper Akers who moves back into the lead of the Pro-Am Championship after Winton last week. Carl Hardy dropping down to second position. There is just under 20 points between them. That is absolutely nothing in a championship that offers so many points. Marhan Kodeman sits 3rd in the championship right now, ahead of Daniel Lewis, and Kev Aylett sitting inside that top 5 as we look throughout the rest of the top 10 there. And then With that change being said then, across in the amateur standings, Lucas Henschel does remain at the top. Thomas Kuhn there in second position. Again, only about 30 points between them. It is really, really close between each of the championship fights. And Torben Mayle is holding on in third, just 7 points behind Kuhn, however. Andy Littler holds on to fourth with Jeff Saunders up in fifth, and then a number of drivers moving up a position due to Stephen Fry being moved across into the Pro-Am category, and that brings Chesney Vandenbroek not only a victory in class to their name, but also into the top 10 in the amateur standings. Across in the team standings then, we've got BIS Circuit still leading the way there, and they're sitting pretty clear, almost 100 points ahead of BSTV in second. Just Give It a Go are sitting in third position ahead of Sim Racing Norway and SRL in fifth. The whole of the top 10 has stayed as it was, except for Fun Sim Racing, who's jumped into the top 10 up to 9th position, and Next Gen falling out of the top 10 with some recent results not going their way. Some good results for Fun Sim Racing, bringing them up in the team standings. Now, with the final 2 rounds coming here at Hockenheimring next week at the Nürburgring, don't worry, it's not going to be all over, however, because we do have season number 10 being confirmed with SRL. The sign-up are already open, and the calendar has been confirmed as well, which we are showing to you now. It's a great season of racing. There are 2 pre-season events as well before we start on January the 9th, one of those being before Christmas, so make sure that you get involved over on the Discord for season number 10 if you are not already done so. And make sure that you join with us, because each of the races are going to be live streamed by myself, and that will be for the whole of season 10, including the pre-season races as well. So make sure that you are hitting that subscribe button here on the YouTube channel so you don't miss any of the wonderful upcoming races, and that you're hitting that follow button over on the Twitch for the same reason. Now, today is a day that Lucas Henschel will be remembering, not just because he leads the top of the amateur standings and is looking like he might have a little bit of pace out here around his home, one of his home circuits that we are racing at the Hockenheimring. No, it is also a very special day for him, because he is celebrating 8 years of his mum being breast cancer free. So that is absolutely fantastic, and we are celebrating with him as well. There is a change to his livery in celebration of that wonderful event for him and his mum. And we encourage you also to check out the links that are available on the Twitch and the YouTube pinned comments, so that you can head across to either the UK or the German website of the research that is done for breast cancer, and that you get yourself donating across there to support that. Of course, only donate what you can, and there's no requirement. It's just something that we would encourage you to do, and I know that everyone would be very appreciative of that, including Lucas, who we will get into the commentary booth here after the well, in a moment. Actually, we'll see if we can put him towards the end of qualifying, because we are about to get across into the qualifying session, and our drivers are going to be hoping to find their way to pole position. Now, I am a massive fan of stats, as I have said, and I think that it is only fair, as we head into the last minute of our practice session here, that we have a little bit of a look at the stats of qualifying, including our pole positions, our overall pole positions, not class pole positions. So overall pole positions at the moment, drivers are seeing repeat poles. We have not seen a new pole sitter since Portimao at round number 4. Arthur Thurtle has found himself on pole position 2 times so far this season. Dan Mould has only found himself on pole position once. That was all the way back at Brands Hatch. Kim Borkland has found his way to pole position 3 times. Round 3, round 5, round 7, will he keep the pattern and do round 9 as well? We'll have to wait and see. Daniel Downing has also found his way to pole position. He managed to do it for a second time last week at Winton. And as I look across to the practice session at the moment, it is Anthony Lammer who is the fastest man in this session, and he is yet to get a pole position through this season. In fact, Lammer's name is yet to appear on my statistics sheet because he is also yet to find a race win this season. We head into the 9th round of asking. Overall, we have already seen 16 races so far this season. We'll have 18 by the end of tonight. Statistics are looking in favour of the drivers at the top. Dan Mould, Logan McKinsey has found his way up there. Kim Borkland has found his way up there. Arthur Thurtle up there as well. That being said, Thurtle only took his second win of the season last week at Winton. Daniel Downing only taking his second win of the season last week. Driver with the most wins so far, Dan Mould. He's found it 6 times to the race win, and it's not often we go a weekend without seeing Dan Mould taking a win. He didn't manage to do it at round 1. He took the double at round 2. He did a single at Interlagos round 3, a single at Portimao round 4. We didn't see him win at the Red Bull Ring, but we saw a single win at Sebring and a single win at Zandvoort. Last week, however, it was only the second time this season that we have not seen, sorry, the third time this season that we've not seen Dan Mould win. Can he do it again here at round number 9, or are we going to see new drivers towards the front? I know that a few of those pro drivers are looking eager, as are our pro-ams, as are our amateurs as well, and it is going to be interesting across all the classes. But enough of looking at my face, let's get ourselves down onto the racing circuit. Qualifying is underway and drivers are getting themselves around. Look at this gaggle of drivers that head themselves around here, around the Hockenheim circuit. It is looking incredibly busy out there at the moment as drivers try to, they're going to want the slipstream around the course. That is for certain. They're going to be wanting to get that help as they go around, but they're also not wanting to be near other drivers. That will also hinder them if they're too close through the corners. So a nice distant tow is going to be important, but we can see there most of the drivers coming through the stadium section right now, but there are a few drivers out there all on their lonesome. It is not going to help them out when they are going along the well, I wouldn't call it a straight, but the back straight in quotation marks, turn number 5 of the Parabolica, of course, that long left-handed corner. But we are looking now, we are going to jump across to the amateur driver of Lucas Henschel in his special livery here today, the 159, pushing it wide at turn number 1. A lot of drivers getting off tracks down at turn number 1 there. Let's go on board if we can, and we certainly can, and see how Lucas Henschel is doing as he exits turn number 4, and an hour long, as I say, this back straight in quotation marks. Turn number 5 here of the Parabolica, nice and fast through the left-hander, and then we're going to get onto a heavy on the brakes for turn number 6. It's going to be a real overtaking opportunity in the race when you've got a nice toe, and then you can just duck to the inside. Try to keep it tight. I think we could see a couple of incidents there though, but drivers will be trying to keep it clean as possible. Off the circuit there, I believe that is Kim Borkland moving across to the left-hand side. Could be Turbo Mail actually, because can I see Borkland in? Yes, I can. They are both out there. But moving across the side nonetheless, in through Mercedes corner, that turn 8 left-hander through turn number 10 there, right-hander. We head up towards the stadium section now. Turn number 11. This is a nice toe here that Henschel's got. He's got the cars in front of him, but they're not in his way. Car off the circuit there was, I'm not too sure actually who that was off the circuit. I think it might have been Ryan Stringer there, as we head through turn number 12, the chicane 13, 14, and onto the final 2 corners here, turn 15 and 16ths of sud curve as well, as Lammer puts it on that provisional pole position spot. Now, we were saying that Lammer was the fastest in practice. Can the Frenchman find his way to pole position for the first time this season? He'll certainly be hoping so, as we see Lucas Henschel put in time good enough for 6th position. Less than a second off of pole position is a very good time for the amateur class leader. Sidney Hard's running around now, 11th position, just getting in a lap time, as Arthur Thirdle comes through the Parabolica looking for a valid lap this time around. A lot of drivers crossing the timing line and breaking that beam. A lot of them have visited the track limits of on their first flying lap, most of them at turn 1. So they will have to go again to get in a valid lap, as we watch Arthur Thurtle here head towards turn number 8 of Mercedes. Get it turn in tight towards the apex. That was Kev Aylett jumping out of the way, not getting involved in the cornering of Thurtle's time. But could this be a little bit of teamwork going on here between different drivers, of course, different teams? But getting that toe there from Aylett. Aylett's dropped back to give Thurtle the run at the end of the course, and is Aylett now going to benefit on the next lap, because Aylett is yet to put in a valid lap, and will be looking to get that toe surely from Thurtle as they go on to the 3rd lap of asking here. Luke Jones, Fraser Geraghty, they're your only 2 drivers who are not out on the circuit here in the qualifying session. Everyone else is currently out there on the circuit trying to put in some laps as we head in towards turn number 1. Arthur Thurtle takes that provisional pole position away from Anthony Lammer by 4/10 of a second. That is an incredible improvement there, as we watch Cooper Akers come around the final corner. His lap time currently very unrepresentative. We will see a better lap time surely this time across the line. It's a 51.588 from Cooper Akers, but it is invalid. So it was about 4 seconds quicker, but it won't take him up the order because it will be an invalid lap. A lot of drivers here getting dashes on their last lap, which means a lot of drivers once again visiting the limits of the track just a bit too far from what they should. This is Dan Mould here. He has only taken pole position once this season, despite winning 6 races. So he doesn't need to find himself at the front of the qualifying session to find him at the front of the race. But can he do anything here in the final 3 minutes of asking to place himself onto a better spot than he is now, which is without a valid lap time? Dan Mould yet to put a time on the board that will count towards a qualifying session. As he runs onto the gravel there, it does not pop up as being an off track. This still could be a valid lap for him, but he is leading a train of drivers. He is not getting a toe here. Thurtle is currently on provisional pole position. He could take his 3rd pole position of the season and match Kim Borkman for the most poles this season, as Kev Aylett moves up into 11th position. Daniel Lewis moves up into 3rd. Daniel Downing takes him down to 4th as he moves up to 3rd, and it is a valid lap for Dan Mould, but it's only good enough for 16th position. If he wants to go further up the order, surely he'll be needing a toe, because that is not a great time at all from the Pro Championship leader. He is the slowest of all the pro drivers that are racing out there today. That is a real shock. Lucas Henschel, the fastest of the amateur drivers. Daniel Lewis, the fastest of the Pro-Ams. And Arthur Thurtle, currently the fastest of the pros and fastest overall in this session. Drivers pulling off to the side and getting out the way there. Is Dan Mould going to find anyone that he can work with out there, as more drivers deciding their qualifying session is going to be done? This is Anthony Lammer here, fastest in practice, if he wants to go onto that provisional pole position spot, he is going to need a toe on a lap to find that 4 tenths of a second. And right now, he just does not have it. So this is going to come to the end of the qualifying session and see as Stuart Gibbons here comes through turn number 1. He does improve up to 17th on his previous lap. This is Tom Woodcock. He sits in 11th position right now in the pro class. Can he move up on this lap as he comes around turn number 16 up towards the timing line? It's a 49.932. It is better, and it's a valid one as well. It takes him ahead of Carl Hardy, who is fighting for the Pro-Am Championship lead with Cooper Akers. They sit 11th and 13th position as most drivers now have found their way down pit lane to lead this one. This is Adam Delmont. He's sitting in 14th position. He's fallen down to 6th in the championship. He's not been here for a few weeks though, so it is no surprise at all as that session does indeed come to a close, and qualifying here around the Hockenheimring is going to be done. We aren't going to have time to grab in an interview with Lucas Henschel before race number 1, so we are definitely going to grab Lucas at the end of race number 1. He does start the highest AM driver in the field, which is lovely for him. Okay, let's have a look at how the grid is going to start here for race number 1 of the day. Arthur Thurtle is going to be on pole position for the 3rd time this season. That is ahead of Anthony Lammer, who was just short of taking his first pole of the season. Daniel Downing came third. Well, we'll start in this one in 3rd position, sorry. And Daniel Lewis will start in 4th. 5th will be Kim Borkland, ahead of Ronald de Jong. 7th position will be JB DeJay, ahead of Reese Watt. Tony Walker will start in 9th. And Tom Woodcock from 10th position. Carl Hardy will start in 11th, ahead of Deck Crowther. I thought I needed to sneeze, and I kind of do, but it's not coming. Cooper Akers is going to be starting in 13th position. Adam Delmont in 14th, ahead of Kev Aylett. Ryan Stringer will start from 16th position with Mahan Kodeman in 17th. Stuart Gibbons will be starting this one in 18th position. Sidney Hards will start in 19th, ahead of Lucas Henschel. Dan Mould, not great for the championship leader in the pro class, down in 21st position. Jeff Saunders will start 22nd, ahead of Torburn Mayo and Demis Titular. Thomas Kuhn will start in 25th, ahead of Vigard Olsen Leah. Paul Hurley will start in 27th. Andy Littler from 28th. Luke Jones in 29th. And Fraser Geraghty will start in 30th position for this one. We prepare for race number 1 of the day. 20 minutes on the clock. That's going to be about 11 laps of asking while these drivers get themselves started for the first race of the evening. Arthur Thurtle from the right-hand side of our screens, the left-hand side of the racing surface. The lights are up and they prepare themselves. We are green and away here for race number 1 of the day. The drivers head up towards turn number 1. They try to do it side by side, and Anthony Lammer takes the lead of the race on the opening corner, but that is not going to be good enough for Thurtle. He looks back up the inside to try and take first position back away. It's not going to work at the moment, and Anthony Lammer leads the way out of turn number 4, but they switch back across in the lead. Slightly off the circuit and wide there was, I believe, Reese Watt. But Thurtle and Lammer now run side by side. Thurtle got the speed on the exit of turn 4. He's trying to close the door up towards the hairpin here. Lammer backs out of it. Daniel Downing on the outside. Could invite Borkland to the inside line. Isn't going to do it. Thurtle lost the lead on the start. There's contact in the back down. JB DeJay is one of those drivers around. 4, 5 cars off. But they're all facing the right way. They all continue in the background. Thurtle lost the lead momentarily at the start of this race, got back forward and through. Reese Watt side by side with Mahan Kodeman here to the inside. As that's Kev Aylett looking to get up the inside of Ryan Stringer, just up ahead as well, as it is 3 wide behind. As drivers try to get through the opening lap of this race. without any further issues. Dan Mould here, side by side with Marhan Kodeman. Mould is on the outside line and takes that position up to 14th on the opening lap. Lucas Henschel is fighting with Carl Hardy. Henschel is going to be on the outside up towards turn number 12, but it gets single file before they get there. The two wide behind as well all sorts themselves down as Torbjörn Mayle finds himself all the way down in 26th position, but that is the opening lap of the race, and it is Arthur Thurtle leading the way after momentarily dropping out the lead on the line, and Anthony Lammer is going to stay in second position on that opening lap as drivers behind continue to look for positions. Kev Aylett looking to try and get past Ryan Stringer, who is backing out completely, as is Dan Mould. I think there's been some slowdowns through the exit of turn 1. A number of drivers pulled across to the right-hand side there and gave up a lot of time, which means Dan Mould is still down in 16th position in this one and is not moving up the order as quickly as he would have hoped. Stuart Gibbons here is just behind Paul Hurley, and Dan Mould looks to the inside up towards the hairpin. It's side by side between Carl Hardy and JB Dejay just behind as well. Hardy fighting for the Pro-Am Championship lead with Kev Aylett, with Cooper Akers. Akers had a much better start to this race. It's side by side still with Hardy and Gibbons. Hardy on the outside, Gibbons on the inside. There's a little bit of a nudge there. JB Dejay gets into it. Dejay now around the outside of Stuart Gibbons. It's not going to be enough to take 19th position in this race, and will have to back out of it. Lucas Henschel sticking ahead of Demis Titchler and Fraser Garrity there, and doing a good job to keep the Pro-Ams behind, and he's got 3 Pro-Ams between himself and the rest of the amateur field behind. Dan Mould once again falling down the order here. Has he picked up yet another slowdown, because he falls to 18th position in this one. Stuart Gibbons, a slightly wider line up through the final 2 turns, could invite it to JB Dejay. That was lights flashing from Titchler there as he's lost a couple of positions. What has happened into the final corner? It's a move up the inside from Garrity. Contact. Garrity gets that position. Titchler falls down the order, losing a couple of positions on that one. Dejay then looking to try and get up the inside of Stuart Gibbons, as that's Mould going to the inside of Hardy and Hurley, as has made that move now. Hardy around the outside of Hurley through the parabolica, but does get that. Hurley a little bit slower here as Borkland goes to the inside of Daniel Downing. It switches back in Downing's way. This is the fight for third. Downing now is on the inside of Borkland, but Borkland is going to get it settled down nicely in that position of third, and Downing could possibly be under attack from Ronald de Jong here, who is leading the Pro-Am field and doing a great job at that. He took his first class victory of the season at race 1 at Zandvoort. He is currently on task for a second class victory, but Daniel Lewis sits just behind. He's already got 2 class victories to his name, so it's a fight there between class race winners. Dec Crowther leads ahead of Ryan Stringer as they swap positions in 13th and 14th. Demis Titchler now looking to try and get past Sidney Hards. Hards picks up some of the gravel there, and Titchler moves up the order as it is Lucas Henschel leading this train of drivers. Something further has happened to Dan Mould, because he has found himself all the way at the back of the field. What's happened here with Hardy and Dejay is contact and into the wall for Pro Championship leader. This is going to be an evening to forget as it stands for Dan Mould. But let's see how race number 2 goes for him. Still got 14 minutes of race 1 as we go 3 wide. Settles down to 2 wide with Titchler ahead. Hurley through as well, side by side between Hards and Garrity. As has a slide there from Hurley. Drops a couple of positions and through goes Garrity. Through goes Hards and around in the background. Who was that just went around? It was Stuart Gibbons. How did that all occur there? Because that one, that started with the slide ahead, a little bit of a nudge on the right, and it was just as Paul Hurley was coming back onto the circuit. Stuart Gibbons was already there. That is a real shame, but that was a rejoin from Paul Hurley there, taking Stuart Gibbons out as we look at Daniel Lewis in 6th, chasing down Ronald de Jong for the Pro-Am lead in this race. Lama sits 6/10 of a second behind Arthur Thurtle, and now pulling away from the trainer drivers behind him, Lucas Henschel sits in 17th position. Stuart Gibbons recovering now, down in 27th position, and will be down pit lane, in fact, I believe he will be, as Paul Hurley has had another issue, and he goes now off into the gravel as well as through turn number 11. And is that a bit of contact? It looks like it was almost, no, it was just driving too hard into the stadium section, completely off into the gravel there, as Arthur Thurtle has picked up saying that he was driving slowly. I don't feel like he has, he's just made a turn. That's kind of what you need to do for these corners, so thank you for popping up saying that he was driving slowly. He was not, he was just driving. Right, as we continue to watch, this is the leading drivers now heading up towards the hairpin. Arthur Thurtle leading Anthony Lama. Kim Borkland trying to get involved in that one as well. The fight for the Pro-Am lead of De Jong and Lewis behind them as well. The lead in the amateur class to this man here, Lucas Henschel. He leads that gap right now, and Codeman gets past Ryan Stringer. I think there may have been an issue there as Stringer just goes deep, tries to go to the outside, a bit of a deep moment, slides it. Fortunately, no major contact there, and all drivers facing the right way. Just a bit of time lost and one position lost for Stringer. That was, he tried to move past Deck Crowd. So this is Reece Watt. He's chasing down Kev Aylett here for 11th position in the race at the moment, but isn't able to do anything from that distance. We'll have to get it just an inch closer. Talking about trying to get closer, Kim Borkland 0.3 of a second off of Anthony Lama. Lama wanted to try and attack Arthur Thurtle in this first race. He had a great launch, got into the lead, but he hasn't been able to hold it, and he isn't holding all the way to the rear of Thurtle. It is only 0.6 of a second here, but when the drive behind you is only 0.3 of a second, they are coming down on you, especially with Borkland putting in the purple lap. I said before that Reece Watt wasn't close enough to Kev Aylett to make the move for 11. That has happened up towards turn number 1. They were side by side, a little bit of a nudge on the door there, but through goes Reece Watt as Kev Aylett falls down to 12th in this race. Sidney Hards and Fraser Geraghty could be going at it for 19th position, as that was side by side, as Titchler looking once again to try and get past the amateur leader of Lucas Henschel, because Lucas Henschel is doing a great job to keep those Pro-Am drivers behind him at the moment, and he's got a couple of positions over the next amateur driver of Torburn Male. 3 cars between them. That is a huge dive there from Titchler. He is going to go extremely wide on the exit of that, and Lucas Henschel just swaps back across. There was really not much that Henschel needed to do in that one, as Dan Mould and Vigard Olsen Leah are going to run side by side here. Leah to the inside of turn number 7. They're going to run side by side up to 8, but Mould is now going to have that inside. You can see that damage on the front end to Dan Mould's car, where he has entered into a spin and hit the wall. Leah trying to go for a swap back here, but it's not going to work out, and Dan Mould is going to hold ahead. Carl Hardy is behind Ryan Stringer, fighting for 15th position at the moment. 0.2 of a second separate them, and this could be a perfect lead-up moment out of turn number 16 as they head up towards the timing line. It was close between Borkland and Lama for just a moment, but they've separated back out to about 0.4 of a second. Lama closing that gap to Thurtle to about 0.5, 0.3 as they get into the braking zone, but it looks like it is maintaining about the same sort of gap. Zertel definitely has started to push a bit too hard at certain points, and it's allowing Lama just to close up that 10th or 2. Not going to be too important in a short space of time, but we still do have 8 minutes on the clock, and these leading 3 drivers are pulled now 2.5 seconds ahead of Daniel Downing, Ronald de Jong and Daniel Lewis fighting out for the lead in the Pro-Ams just behind. They've got Tony Walker and Adam Delmont there as well, and they're fighting out for the 7th and 8th in this race. In the Pro field, they are driving, so they're stuck behind the Pro-Ams at the moment. Deck Crowther makes a move past Kev Ayler to Ayler, continuing to fall down the order at the moment. Cooper Akers holds 3rd in class, which is great for his championship fight in the Pro-Am field. Not great for Carl Hardy, who's down in 16th position and 9th in class right now as we head up towards turn number 11 and into the stadium section. Crowther gapping Ayler here, 0.3 of a second separate them now as they open that up. Tom Woodcock wants to get past Cooper Akers in the Pro-Am field. Woodcock being in that Pro field will be wanting to potentially get through. The 2 teammates, of course, though, won't be fighting too hard, and they will certainly think about how they can help each other out and work together as they come round turn number 16 and up towards the timing line. Adam Delmont now just 1/10 of a second behind Tony Walker. Doesn't go for the move in towards turn number 1. It's a tricky one to try and make that move and to stay inside the track limits. Turn number 2, however, you can definitely look to the inside as he does so. Adam Delmont to the inside of Tony Walker. Walker going for a potential switch back here as we come out of turn number 4, but it is going to be sitting behind at the moment for Tony Walker as he drops down to 8th position. Delmont up to 7th, but here we go. Walker to the right-hand side will make the attempt up towards the hairpin here. Breaks early though, doesn't want to go deep, trying to force Delmont in potentially going deep, but all of them make it through, keep it within track limits, and Adam Delmont confirms 7th position in this one with 6th position, with 8th position going the way now of Tony Walker. Just behind, Ryan Stringer gets past Carl Hardy in their fight as well, as Hardy went a little bit deep, I believe, into the hairpin in trying to get it to the inside here. So he looks to the inside of Ryan Stringer. He gets that position. Stringer gets the switch back. It's not actually deep there from Hardy. It was a very good move, but Stringer just playing it perfectly with the switch back and getting the exit that he needed, and it means that Stringer is going to hold on to 16th position, and they've actually swapped back across now as Carl Hardy moves up into 15th position, and Ryan Stringer down to 16. Lucas Henschel here once again has Demis Titchler 0.3 of a second behind, as Borkland could have an opportunity here. Again, up towards turn number 1. Gets really close to the back end of Lama there. Isn't able to do anything. Trying potentially to force Lama off the circuit. Get a slow down into turn number 1 by just getting to his rear bumper. Talking about getting to the rear bumper there. Lama getting all the way to the rear end of Arthur Thirdle. But it doesn't matter how close you are in the corner. It matters about the exit. And right now the exit is going the way of Kim Borkland, who sits in 3rd position behind Anthony Lama. Lama goes to the right-hand side to go defensive here. Borkland goes to the left to try and make this move for 2nd, keeping it nice and tight there from Anthony Lama. Borkland keeping the speed on the outside, but a quick bump on the curbing just settles him down behind. Borkland is proper going for this at the moment, and right now he's just not able to find that way through. Again, different lines from them as they go through turn number 8. We ride on board with Kim Borkland sitting 3rd in this race. Heading up now towards turn number 11. Anthony Lama just ahead, but this is the closest that Borkland has been going into the stadium section, as it could give him a perfect opportunity up towards the hairpin here of Sachs through turn 12. Looks across try and switch it over and get a good exit. Slightly wide there from Lama onto the green turf, not quite onto the grass. Through turn number 15 now. This needs to be a really good exit from Borkland, getting onto the rear end of Lama there. Quick flash of the brake from Lama, but this could be Kim Borkland's opportunity up to turn number 1. Is he going to look for the move or just try and push Lama wide? Just try and push Lama wide with a bit of extra speed. Borkland backing out early. Lama gets wide. Is it going to be a slowdown? It doesn't look like it is. Lama stays on the racing line and finds a good amount of speed there through turn number 1. They get into turn 2, switch across there for 3, the right-hander, and into 4, this left-hander, as we head once again on the back straight and towards the parabolica here. The leading fight continuing on. The fight here behind is going on between Ronald de Jong and Adam Delmont. That has placed a pro driver between the two Pro-Am leaders right now, and Delmont looking to get past de Jong as we head up to hairpin. So de Jong could once again come under attack from Daniel Lewis, and Lewis could take advantage of this right now as we get out of the hairpin, and you can see how close Daniel Lewis is to the rear end of Ronald de Jong. Delmont then up to 5th position and closing down on Daniel Downing. Next lap will be white flag lap, with the timer continuing to count down. Thurtle has got a 9/10 lead here. Kim Borkland once again on the rear end, looking to go for the going for second in this one. Very tight there from Lama. Again, a different line from Borkland, looking to get some speed on the exit up towards turn number 15 in this fight for the lead. Borkland is all over the rear end of Lama right now. Through the final turn, Thurtle has 0.6 of a second and should be clear on this final lap of the race. All onto the rear end there as they appear through turn 1. Borkland keeps much closer to Lama this time and goes towards the inside of turn number 2. We'll head onto the brakes. Lama tries to close that door way too late though, squeezing Borkland to the inside as much as he can. Switch across to 4. Lama's still got a wheel in there and he could have the speed on the exit. They head up through Parabolica. Turn number 6 of the hairpin is going to be interesting. They are neck and neck as we head onto the braking zone. It's a switch across from Lama. Goes to the inside and it's contact with Arthur Thurtle. I can't believe it! Kim Borkland is in the lead of the race! Thurtle finds himself in second, ahead of Daniel Downing and Adam Delmont. Lama! Oh my word! What has happened there is an absolute mistake from Anthony Lama. It's a fight for third in class, side by side between Daniel Downing and Adam Delmont. Delmont on the outside here, looking to try and take that podium position away from Daniel Downing. Downing sticks to the inside, up towards the braking zone, and Adam Delmont gets third position. Downing looking for speed on the exit, but somehow the man who started this lap in third position is going to come home to take the win. Kim Borkland takes his third win of the season. Arthur Thurtle will come home in second ahead of Adam Delmont and Daniel Downing. Ronald de Jong holds on to the lead in the Pro-Ams ahead of Daniel Lewis. Tony Walker takes home 7th. Cooper Akers comes across the line in 8th position. 9th position for Tom Woodcock. Lucas Henschel comes across the line to take a class victory in 16th position as they come across the line. The rest of the field there. Dan Mould comes across the line in 21st position. Not what the championship leader would have been hoping for. What a last lap mistake that was. And there was absolutely nothing that Arthur Thurtle could have done in that one. As we head into a warm-up session here, let's just see that from on board here with Lama. He does a great choice to back out and switch across, but way too late on the brakes. He swerves to the right at the last minute to try and avoid Arthur Thurtle, but there is absolutely nothing you can do to avoid a driver there. An absolutely broken car for Anthony Lama following that one is a real shame and not what anyone would have wanted to see. Let's have a look at the results then from that one as we come to a close for the first race of the day. Kim Borkland took advantage of that accident we just saw and took the win in the first race. And as I say, only Kim Borkland's third win of the season. His last win came at Zandvoort, race number 1, but a great third win there from Borkland. Ronald de Jong taking victory in the Pro-Am class, and that is his second win of the season. Again, his last win coming at Zandvoort, race number 1 as well. Arthur Thurtle and Adam Delmont rounding out the podium overall. Thurtle very lucky to come across the line, I think, in the end, following that accident. Daniel Downing took home 4th position. Daniel Lewis came home in 6th overall, ahead of Tony Walker, Cooper Akers, Tom Woodcock. And Reese Watt rounded out your top 10. As I want to go to the next page. There we go. Deck Crowther came home in 11th, ahead of Kev Ayler and Carl Hardy. Marhan Kodeman came home in 14th, 15th for Ryan Stringer. Lucas Henshaw took home 16th overall, but he did win his amateur class, and that actually takes him up to his 7th class win of the season. Demis Titchler took home 17th out of Sydney Hards. Jeff Saunders in 19th. Fraser Geraghty took home 20th position. Dan Mould, so a really poor race for him today, came home in 21st. Torburn Mail in 22nd position. Thomas Kuhn came home in 23rd, ahead of Vigard Olsen. Leah Paul Hurley in 25th, and retiring on the last lap of the race was Anthony Lama. Out of the race early was Andy Littler, Stuart Gibbons, JB Duché, and I believe Luke Jones didn't actually get started off of the line. Right, as we finish race number 1 here, there is one man that we are going to talk to and pull across into the booth here, and it is a man running a very special livery tonight. So not only winning the class, but running a very special livery whilst we're doing that. Lucas, welcome to the booth, and please share with us what livery you're running today. Oh, can you hear us there, Lucas? We'll give Lucas a moment as we'll see if we are able to hear him in just 1 second. But as we are running around here at Hockenheim, Lucas running in one of his home races for the evening, and he is running in that special livery. There we go, Lucas. Hello, welcome.
Hello, how are you doing?
Doing really well here. Great win in that one for your class, taking 16th overall. But as I said, you're running a very special livery here this evening. So before we talk about your race, let's talk about that.
So yeah, basically, to the month, 8 years ago, my mom beat breast cancer. Was pretty shocking diagnosis because I was in my finals at school. But luckily, she had her chemo done, her operation done. And yeah, she's doing better than ever. Life has changed to the good, and I hope I can just set a little bit of a kick to some people to maybe get checked out, to women out there, to people out there, and just look after yourselves. And cancer is a pretty bad condition, so yeah, just spread some awareness. I just think it has to be done sometimes.
Definitely, I agree with you there, and in both the Twitch and on the YouTube there are pinned comments that can link you across to either the UK or the German sites that you are able to donate towards that. And as you say, very important to raise awareness and get yourself checked out, and to support that as well in being able to donate if you are able to. So thank you so much, Lucas, for bringing that to everyone's attention in today's stream. I think it is really, really important. Across to the race then, and you said you need a good one because I'm going to be pulling you across into the commentary booth at the end of the race, and you had a really good one there.
Luckily I did, yeah. I had some luck with crashes in front of me, but P16 is fine. I don't like starting at the front. That's Ryan's job. So he's 15, I'm 16th again. We had that happen before at Zibrin. So yeah, let's see how it works out.
Right,
and,
well,
get some points.
Definitely get those points for you. Taking this, hopefully for a second win, maybe. We'll see how it goes, but very much good luck for this one.
Thank you.
Lucas Henschel there running that special livery, and we'll get back across over to the iRacing service, because we do have the grid for the second race of the day. And if you're around here at this penultimate round of asking, the way this works is we're going to see the top 15 drivers reverse, which means Ryan Stringer is going to find himself on the pole position spot here, as Lucas said, just missing out on that reverse grid again. Marhan Kodeman is going to start second ahead of Carl Hardy. We're going to run through this nice and quickly because we got late onto the grid. So Kev Ayler in fourth ahead of Dec Crowther. Reese Watt will start in sixth position. Seventh position will go the way of Tom Woodcock ahead of Cooper Akers. Tony Walker will start ninth ahead of Daniel Lewis. Ronald de Jong will start in 11th position ahead of Daniel Downing. Then we will see Adam Delmont in 13th ahead of Arthur Thurtle, and race one winner Kim Borkland from 15th. Lucas Henschel once again missing out on that pole position for race number 2. Will start in 16th ahead of Demis Titchler. Sydney Hards will start this one in 18th position ahead of Jeff Saunders. Fraser Geraghty in 20th. Dan Mould in 21st. Torben Mayer in 22nd ahead of Thomas Kuhn. And Vigard Olsen Leah. We will then see Paul Hurley in 25th ahead of Anthony Lammer, Andy Littler, and if they get started, which I think we should see them, Stuart Gibbons, JB Dejay, and Luke Jones. Lammer will be hoping for a recovery drive in this second race of the day because of that last lap accident, and Arthur Thurtle will be hoping for his third win of the season. In this reverse, it is going to be hard to find their way up there though. 25 minutes on the clock. It should mean an extra 3 laps of racing. We are going to prepare ourselves, and away we go off of the line here, and we start race number 2 of the 9th round of asking. They fly by our cameras there and head up in towards turn number 1. Ryan Stringer holds into the lead. The drivers behind getting themselves through turn number 1 cleanly. It gets really thin, of course, through the exit of turn 1, but up to turn 2 it opens up again. It invites drivers to go 3 wide. It is 3 wide, but they all get through again without incident there, and they all get themselves facing the right way and racing. A nice strong start to this one. Anthony Lammer here in 26th position is looking to find his way through and move back up the order. It is side by side here up towards the braking zone of the hairpin. It's ahead and behind side by side as 3 wide drivers almost coming to a stop on the hairpin there, and that is a big dive to the inside. A huge braking point as that is Anthony Lammer off once again at the hairpin, and this time out of the race, and it was Andy Litzler, I believe, who went extremely deep. Lucas Henschel is in running around in 17th position right now, and that's a spin there for Daniel Downing. Goes around, not great for the driver that almost got onto the podium in race number 1. He has gone around. Stringer has lost out to Carl Hardy, but wants to move back into the lead here. Hardy holding onto the lead through the hairpin, and it will be Carl Hardy ahead of Ryan Stringer. Marhan Kodeman sits in 3rd position. We don't see a pro driver until 7th position on the track right now. It's all pro-ams at the front with the top 15 reverse from race number 1. We are going to get on to the second lap of asking, and Carl Hardy leads the first lap of race number 2 here. Dan Mould has still got positions to gain. He managed only to finish in 21st after a number of bits of contact for him. He's down in 20th and looking like this is going to be a drop weekend for him. It does mean that he'll reinstate points from a previous round in the championship. There are meatball flags, Torben Mayo, Andy Littler, Fraser Geraghty and Thomas Kuhn. It was a very poor opening lap for a number of drivers after we got through the first 5 corners. It was then a big issue up towards the hairpin, and as drivers have settled themselves down now, let's see if we can quickly jump back onto that opening lap of the race and see what happened there. That's not what I was looking for at all, as I was looking more for the hairpin where things started to go wrong for drivers, and it was a big collection. It was towards the rear of the field that we really saw these incidents occur, as this is Litzler completely missing a braking point, and there's not much you can go when you're in that position. And that was Lammer as well. That was a really interesting decision there by Lammer. Did he pick up contact straight away in there? I think, yeah, he did. He broke his front right suspension with that little bit of contact. That is a really poor way for that race to start for him. It was just that little bit of a tap, and straight away that front right suspension was broken. As we continue around then on the second lap of Asking, and coming up to the final 2 turns, Kim Borkland, who won race number 1, is leading all of the pro drivers around here. He is at the front of the pro field, but he does need to overtake 6 drivers here if he wants to take the double. We've only seen the double occur once this season. That was at round number 2 at Brands Hatch by Dan Mole. Can somehow Kim Borkland take the double here? It's going to be a lot of work, but it is certainly not out of the question with him leading the pro field. Arthur Turtle and Tony Walker swap positions for 10th and 11th there, as we head up now towards the hairpin and see if Thurtle is able to move any more positions. Deck Crowther looking to possibly go to the inside, goes to the outside, defensive from Kodeman, seeing who can break the later while still staying on the circuit, trying to go for the switchback, but that was Kodeman trying to also keep tight. Crowther did get a switchback, but because of how tight Kodeman was, it hasn't given him a huge amount of speed. He has got a wheel in through turn number 7 though. As we head up to Mercedes, he's going to be on the outside line. That is Reese, sorry, no, that's Kevin Aylett just behind, looking to take advantage of that. A little bit of a slow exit from Kodeman, contact with Crowther. Crowther gets through, moves around the outside and up to 3rd position. Kodeman now could potentially have some damage, because here comes Kev Aylett on the left-hand side and does make that position through, and Kodeman continues to slow down. I think Kodeman potentially has some suspension damage following that contact, because he is losing a lot of positions there, as Dalmont looking to get up the inside of Tom Woodcock. They still remain side by side. It will be the outside line now as we head up towards turn number 15. Kodeman stays out on track, so whatever the issue was, he's finding the pace once more. A little bit of a nudge there. Delmont into the back of Woodcock as they head up towards turn number 1. Here comes Arthur Thurtle to try to get to the inside line. There's a little bit of a nudge as Delmont went defensive. Thurtle was stuck on the outside, a little bit of a wobble, but they all continue through, as once again here, Kodeman is going to try and move back up the order as Dalmont dives to the inside of Woodcock behind. Kodeman not getting the speed on the exit, but Dalmont looking to get the speed on the exit of Woodcock, and Woodcock sticks to the left-hand side, has Arthur Thurtle just behind as well, looking at potentially pushing along. Is Thurtle going to try and dive to the inside up towards the hairpin? Yes, he is, as is Adam Dalmont ahead. Dalmont trying to get past Kodeman. Thurtle trying to get past Woodcock, and that turns into a move up the inside of Kodeman from Arthur Thurtle as well. Just enough room for him to place his car in there, and he is going to stay on the inside of Arthur Kodeman as they head up towards Mercedes now. It will switch across and give Kodeman the inside. That was Walker diving to the inside of Woodcock behind, trying to go for the switchback on the exit there, as De Jong gets past Tony Walker as they're fighting away. Off the circuit goes Martin Kodeman. Arthur Thurtle now to the inside. Thurtle makes that move. Ronald De Jong looking to get up the inside of Tom Woodcock. There's contact. Woodcock's into the gravel, and De Jong is up into 10th position in the race. Through also Wayne Tony Walker. Cooper Akers up to 12th. Tony Woodcock down into 13th position. Side by side ahead is Adam Dalmont overtaking Kev Aylett. Aylett giving a little bit of a nudge as they go through turn 15 and into turn 69. Dalmont second in class. Kim Borkman fifth in this race. and looking to try and move towards the lead. Carl Hardy leads by 2.5 seconds. He didn't have a great race number 1 for his championship fight in the Pro-Ams, but this is exactly what he needs. He's running in first position right now, especially as Cooper Akers is down in 12th position. As we head into the braking zone of turn number 2 and through turn number 4 as we switch across to the left. I still don't know where turn number 3 is there. I think they've invented the number, but we head through Parabolica, and this is the train that goes to second position right now. Ryan Stringer leading Deck Crowther. Crowther, though, looks to the inside, up towards the hairpin here, goes for who can brake later. Crowther's got that inside, a little bit of a nudge behind from Reese Watts, and that was wide from Ryan Stringer. It gives Crowther the speed on the exit. Deck Crowther moves into second here. Kim Borkland trying to take past Reese Watts as Arthur Thurtle is side by side with Kev Aylett looking to get into 7th position. He's going to be on the inside into Mercedes. They've all settled themselves down single file ahead as Thurtle and Kev Aylett here are side by side still, and it is going to go the way of Arthur Thurtle as Kev Aylett drops behind, and Mohan Kodeman now trying to fight with Aylett as he comes to the outside as they head into the stadium section through turn number 11. That is not going to go Kodeman's way, and here comes Ronald de Jong to go up the inside. It will now be the outside as they come through the hairpin, but he does carry that speed. Kodeman slow on the inside off the circuit there was Tony Walkers, was trying to get the move up into 10th, but wasn't quite able to do it, and now Cooper Akers actually could potentially look for a move past Tony Walker as they go through turn 16. Reese Watt looking to the inside of Ryan Stringer for 3rd position in this race. Kim Borkland sitting just behind them, looking to see what is going to happen in this fight and whether he can find his way through and take advantage of it, as that is Stringer now looking to get up the inside of Crowther, and Borkland goes to the outside. It's 3 wide into turn 2, but that is going to be position there to Crowther as Borkland now going for it on the exit. I'm confused as to where everyone is. I know to Watts. Where's Crowther gone? Crowther's up the road. This is Watt, Borkland and Stringer. My word, everything's changed. And it's going to be 3 wide up towards the hairpin here. Late on the brakes. It's the inside for Stringer. He is going to hit across into Watt, who hits across into Borkland, and that puts Thurtle through, and it puts Adam Delmont into the lead of the Pro class with only 3 Pro-Am drivers to now get through. A little bit of contact through the hairpin, and again, not really much that Borkland could have done on this one. This was Ryan Stringer looking to get to the inside of Reese Watts, and then nudge on Borkland there. That front right's very lucky that it survived that nudge, and it could have been a lot worse for him, like we saw for Anthony Lammer at the start of the race. But in this one, Borkland is continuing, but he is now down to 7th position. Arthur Thurtle looks to the inside of Reese Watt. There is contact there, but Watt holds that position. Thurtle is driving aggressive here. He wanted the win in race number 1. It almost came his way. It could come his way in race number 2. He's got to find that speed, though. This is exactly what these drivers need, though, when Dan Mould is having such a poor weekend for himself, down in 14th position. We head up towards turn number 1 now, and they are all settling themselves just for the time being, but looking, where can I make this move? And Thurtle is thinking turn 2 sounds like a good bet, as he looks to the inside, and again contact with Reese Watt, banging doors there. Watt's going to get the inside through turn 4, leaving Thurtle on the outside, but Thurtle is going to have that speed on the exit there, and he is going to have the inside up towards the hairpin. Could he potentially do something on Ryan Stringer as well? Stringer has gone onto that inside line, though, really move himself back across the racing line. Thurtle has got the position ahead, though, so they can all get themselves through, and Thurtle gets to the inside of Ryan Stringer. Stringer certainly didn't need to leave the door open, but Arthur Thurtle did not need a second invitation. Stringer, though, now under attack from Reese Watts. Watts to the inside of turn number 7 and up to Mercedes. It's going to switch back across to Stringer. Borkland just behind, trying to take advantage of this. Wide there from Reese Watts. has allowed Borkland to get to the outside line of turn number 10 as they head up towards the stadium section. Here comes Ronald de Jong to also get involved in this one. Borkland's got the position. Watt's going to hold it on the inside, and de Jong is going to just have to stay behind for the time being. But Borkland now back up to 6th position and behind Ryan Stringer will be wanting to get his way through. Adam Delmont, half a second off of Dec Crowther here, who's running around in second, but Carl Hardy is doing a great job of leading the way. Tom Woodcock looks to the inside and Tony Walker through the final turn there. It isn't going to amount to anything for him, and they are going to remain in 11th and 12th position as it stands as we come up towards the final 10 minutes of the race. We're looking at about 7 more laps, this one included. Torben may have just had an incident. No, it looks like it was just a slight disconnect for him. Just a momentary disconnect as we got too far away rather than anything. Dan Mould and Cooper Akers are going at it as well as Dan Mould gets past Cooper Akers as it looks like Akers. Now I'm really confused. Dan Mould. This is saying Dan Mould is ahead of Cooper Akers, but Cooper Akers is ahead of Dan Mould. We're watching a replay, that's why. That's how he made that move up the inside of turn number 2. That would make sense. Cooper Akers, though, Dan Mould, and that is Mahan Kodeman fighting it out as we come through, I believe. Yes, it's Kodeman ahead of Mould, and then Akers. They are fighting it out right now in a battle for 12th position now that we are back onto the live screen. Stringer and Borkland are also side by side as we head up towards the stadium section. De Jong looking once again to get up the inside of Watt. De Jong is there up the inside of Watt. Borkland's up the inside of Stringer. Stringer touches the glass. Can Borkland hold it on the outside? Can De Jong do it on the outside as Watt as well? Stringer wants that inside line. It's a slide from Watt. De Jong's going to have the speed, but Watt is going to slide right into his way. They settle themselves down as De Jong goes to the position again. As Borkland gets to the inside of Ryan Stringer. Stringer looking to get the speed into turn 16. Looks to the inside. Not quite enough space for him to duck up the inside there. And Kim Borkland up into 5th position. Ryan Stringer down to 6th. Reeswart holds on to 7th ahead of Ronald de Jong. Adam Delmont has made his way past Dec Crowther and is closing what is a 4-second gap to Carl Hardy. But that feels like it might just be a bit too big to do. Watt gets to the inside of Ryan Stringer, close that door on the outside, and then de Jong just drives straight through Reese Watt like he wasn't there. That was a move that de Jong will be hoping he doesn't repeat, because that was a shame indeed, and I think he just ran out slightly wide the way that turn 4 is. We'll have to comment more on it once we get an onboard, of course. Up towards the hairpin now. Cooper Akers will visit pit lane. He's received a meatball flag. So that is a shame for Cooper Akers, who is leading the Pro-Am Championship. But with the result like this for Carl Hardy, it might not stay that way for long. Let's see if we can just catch again. And it does look like it is just a bit too much there from de Jong. And let's have a look. He just carries speed, and yeah, he just drives straight through there. That is a shame, and again, something he'll be hoping that doesn't repeat. What has happened to Cooper Akers? What has happened to Cooper Akers? Contact. But, oh, you could argue that Akers moved a bit too far to the left on that one, and fortunately, no one else getting collected in that. He is down pit lane and out of the race, though, with 8 minutes left on the clock. Kev Aylett being getting right onto the rear end of Ronald de Jong here. De Jong is holding on to 7th in this race, ahead of Kev Aylett, who sits in 8th. They've got pro drivers of Woodcock, Walker, and Mould behind. Now, Dan Mould recovering from 21st position in this second race of the day. Aylett now to the inside of Ronald de Jong as they get onto the brakes up towards turn number 2. De Jong tried to close in. He's got an Aylett there, so he's going to have to let Kev Aylett through. Damage you can see on De Jong's vehicle at the front there. Will be hindering him slightly, but the tow along the through the parabolic is certainly going to be helping him, as it is going to be helping Dan Mould behind, who is chasing down Tony Walker, who's chasing down Woodcott, who's chasing down that Pro-Am fight, as that's Walker looking to the inside of Woodcott as De Jong goes to the outside of Aylett, and actually Walker's going to get the inside of De Jong as well. So Aylett holds on to 7th. Walker could have this position over Ronald De Jong. They get into turn number 7 here as they run side by side. We're going to switch across with Tony Walker on the outside. De Jong trying to hold it on that inside there. He does. He'll switch across once again for turn number 10, and that position is going to go the way of Tony Walker. And here comes Dan Mould to the outside of 11. There's contact with De Jong, but he is going to try and hold that outside line. There's more contact as they bump each other's panels as we get towards the hairpin of turn 12. Up the inside of De Jong looks Tom Woodcock. He is keeping it alongside, and he could very much stay within an opportunity here as he just has to back out for the moment. Arthur Thurtle, however, goes to the inside of Deck Crowther, moves back across the racing line for turn number 1, and Arthur Thurtle now third in the race. Carl Hardy and Adam Delmont, that gap is not changing. Carl Hardy is running a very strong race at the front of the field, and can I say, when I mean that gap at the front is not changing, Carl Hardy's last lap was a 1:49.586. Adam Delmont's last lap was a 1:49.586. Identical lap times from the leading 2 drivers running around at the front of the field. Adam Delmont is running around with a slightly better overall fastest lap, but it is only by 0.04 of a second faster than Carl Hardy's fastest lap. So Hardy right now has got the pace and is doing a great job at the front. It's side by side now with Olsen Leah on the outside of Sidney Hards. Hards is going to try and keep it on the inside. He's going to back out of it though to a 17th position, and you see the damage there from Daniel Lewis on the front end of his machine, getting into the wars out there in race number 2. Heading up now through turn number 10, and Olsen Leah on the rear end of Jeff Saunders, and looking to try and take second position in that amateur class. Olsen Leah, of course, having 1 win to his name this season. That was at the first race at Sebring. That's a class win, of course. Running around looking for that second place right now, but with Sidney Hards in the Pro-Am just behind, and JB Dejay just as well, who has been having a difficult evening of racing, especially in race number 1, getting caught up in a number of bits of contact that you could not blame Dejay for from our angles. As we head up towards turn number 2, we watch Arthur Thurtle a 1.3 seconds off of Adam Delmont, looking to try and take second in this race if possible, but right now it is Carl Hardy who is on task to win with just 3 laps to go, including this one. Dan Mould running deep out of turn number 3 there and up through turn 4, dropping back off of Tony Walker just a little bit and trying to get the best result that he possibly can, but it's certainly not going the way that he would have wanted to. Torbjörn Mayo now 21st position, 4th in class 4. Him and running around by himself at the back of the field, but doing a good job to get some points on the board being back there. Anyway, JB Dejay at the rear end of this train of cars. It goes all the way up to Ronald De Jong in 11th position. De Jong dropping out of that lead fight with, as you can see, major front end damage on his Elantra, and that is going to be holding him up a little bit. It's going to be holding up the drive behind. Lucas Henschel leading the amateur field once again, and looking to try and take 11th position past De Jong, because the slower De Jong with the damage here is holding up Lucas Henschel and allowing his competitors in the amateur field to close in behind, and allowing Kodeman to potentially knock him another oval position back as well, which is not what the amateur leader is going to want to do. He's leading the race, he's leading the championship, and with just one more round to go next week at the Nürburgring, he's going to want every point he possibly can, and he is doing a good job right now to be 12th overall, but is looking to take 11th overall because they do get their points from their overall race position. Even though they are fighting in their own championship classes, they take the points from the overall race results, and Lucas Henschel wants to take 11th, so moves to the inside of Ronald de Jong. It's going to be side by side into turn 2. It'll switch back across in turn 4, and there's contact! Lucas Henschel is sideways, gets it back straight, but de Jong has been black flagged for instant limits. But that is a shame for Lucas Henschel, who falls out of the lead of the amateur class on the penultimate lap of asking. Jeff Saunders and Olsen Lee are now side by side for the lead in the amateur class, with Olsen Lee to the inside of Saunders and takes the lead in that class. Lucas Henschel will be wanting to very quickly dispatch Deshay and Hart to get into a podium fighting class, because next lap is the white flag lap, and what could have been the double for Lucas Henschel at his home race has just turned into disaster with Ronald de Jong, who will have to visit pit lane this time around with the white flag coming out at the end of the lap. Tony Walker and Dan Mould fighting out in 8th position right now, with Tom Woodcock chasing down in 10th position, but Mould has recovered in this race, which is what he needed to do. The white flag is out. The gap between Hardy and Delmont down to 3.2 seconds, but the gap between Delmont and Thurtle down to 8/10 are the top 3 going to remain as they are. I think it is very likely as Ronald de Jong comes down pit lane to serve that penalty for reaching the instant limit. Jeff Saunders is looking to try and take the lead once more in the amateur class, but Vigard Olsen Lee here looking to potentially take a second class victory. The last time he came home to win the race was at Sebring, race number 1 in class. Can it happen here again at Hockenheim, race number 2? As we head up now towards the hairpin, the gap between Delmont and Thurtle down to 0.6 of a second. Thurtle is pushing as hard as possible right now. Delmont pushing as well. Hardy has slowed down a bit towards the end of this race, but why push hard? He's got the gap. Let's keep it clean for the man at the top of the Pro-Am Championship lead to try and take the win here. And Arthur Thurtle really wants to take second, take points over his competitor of Dan Mould, who's recovered to 8th here. But it looks like it is going to go the way of Adam Delmont in this fight. But the man who started second on the grid in this reverse grid is going to come round the final corner. The Pro-Am driver, Carl Hardy, is going to take the overall victory here. And for Carl Hardy, it is a 4th win of the season. Adam Delmont crosses the line to take second in this race, what would be a 3rd win for him as well. A great result. And then Vigard Olsen Lee will cross the line to win the amateur class. After being taken out, Lucas Henschel comes home 3rd in class and 17th position overall. De Jong didn't serve the penalty correctly because he still has a penalty on the exit of pit lane, which means that he will be put down 1 lap by the end of this race. But a great job from all of our drivers in this one as we come to a close in race number 2. Let's have a look at our results for the second race of the day. Just waiting for one moment as drivers definitely get around the track and finish this one off. And then we'll have a look to see if we can pull anyone across to have a quick word with them as well. After that one, we managed to catch up with Lucas Henschel after race number 1. He won that first race in class. Can we catch anyone else after this one? We'll have a look, as it looks like Cooper Akers there coming across the line, I believe that was. As that is going to be the end of the race, and Carl Hardy is going to take the victory here in the second race of the day. It went to Adam Delmont for second position ahead of Arthur Thurtle. Like I said, Carl Hardy doing a fantastic job in race number 2. Took that reverse grid second place really, really well to find a 4th win of the season. Adam Delmont returning after a few weeks off here, hasn't been behind the wheel of a TCR in about a month, but he did come home second in that race, taking the class win, of course, and taking what is his 3rd class win of the season. And in your amateur class, it was Vigard Olsen-Lear taking a win once again here, and that actually is his 2nd win of the season. We aren't seeing many new time winners we've seen no new time winners or pole sitters this week here at Hockenheim. 3rd in that race then was Arthur Thurtle ahead of Deck Crowther. Kim Borkland came home in 5th. Ryan Stringer came home in 6th in that one ahead of Kev Aylett. Dan Mould recovered nicely to 8th ahead of Tony Walker and Tom Woodcott. Then it was Marhan Kodeman taking home 11th ahead of Daniel Lewis. Vigard Olsen-Lear coming home in 13th ahead of Jeff Saunders. JB Dejay finishing in 15th ahead of Sydney Hards. Lucas Henschel came home in 17th position ahead of Daniel Downing. Demis Titchler crossing the line in 19th ahead of Torburn Mayo. Then we saw 21st was Ronald de Jong ahead of Cooper Akers. Thomas Kuhn came home a lap down, and then out of the race was Reece Watts, Paul Hurley, Andy Littler, Fraser Garrity, Anthony Lammer, Stuart Gibbons and Luke Jones, neither of those 2 drivers starting the 2nd race of the day. Right, let's see if we can pull anyone across here and see who is around for a chat. And Arthur Thurtle, our driver who came home to take 3rd in that race. But before we talk about race number 2, I think we do have to talk about race number 1. It was an absolute dominant drive for you, and it all went wrong at the end.
Yeah, it did.
I mean, I can't imagine what it must have been like for you sitting in that car and suddenly getting a massive whack from the side.
Well, I was a 2nd in the lead, and I thought, oh, this is it. I got this all sewn up. Them 2 are side by side. I thought, even if I'm a 2nd in front, I thought they'll both probably brake a bit later than usual, trying to outbrake each other. But I thought, at a 2nd, I'm safe. I wasn't safe.
Yeah,
No,
far from safe, I would say.
I winning the TCR, so it was a bit of a shame.
I would say it's been a tough season for you in getting those victories, but you did get some strong points here this weekend. You got 2nd in race 1, you got 3rd in race 2, and with Dan Mould really far down the order this weekend, which is not usual for him, it's going to be points your direction.
Yeah. I was hoping that I was gonna win race 1, and then that would have taken some points out of Kim as well, because Kim's a few points in front of me as well as Dan. But yeah, still 2 podiums. 2 podiums is good.
2 podiums indeed. That 2nd race then, I feel like aggression was turned up a little bit, going up the inside of drivers, finding those spaces. Do you feel like you were pushing a bit harder than you were in race 1?
Well, I don't know. I was just sort of race 1. I was actually being careful. I didn't want to get a slowdown. But no, you have to be aggressive in the 2nd race on the reverse grid to get the overtakes done. It's just you got to choose the right moments so that you don't have an accident with someone.
So there was a few moments in which there was a bit touch of contact, and I didn't think there'd be enough space.
Yeah, there was a few.
I didn't think there'd be enough space for you to get your car in, but you found it, and you found your way through. And actually, as you say, double podium. It's a great way to head into Nürburgring next week. I mean, the championship hopes they're still there technically, but as you say, you've got Kim Borkland ahead of you as well. It is going to be tight. How are you feeling about Nürburgring next week?
I don't go well there, so I'll get a podium, I've done well. But no, top 5 is probably where I'll be finishing. I don't think I'll be challenging for any wins, but I'll always give it my best go.
Well, good luck, Arthur. Well done on a double podium. A shame it wasn't a victory for you in the first race, but have fun going towards Nürburgring and doing your best that you can in the final round of the season.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Arthur, there, who came home that one, 3rd position in the second race. Came home 2nd after that contact, as he said. He was 2nd in the lead before the contact that put him down the order, but talking about another driver who was leading their respective class and unfortunately weren't able to finish in that position. Lucas, race number 2, it was all going your way until it wasn't.
Well, yes. We need to discuss. I'm not going to say anything about that, but we need to discuss this one. I just think I'm not at fault. But hey, whatever. I mean, it's P3 in class. It's fine.
It is another podium, double podium in your home round here at Hockenheim. Obviously, we head across towards Nürburgring. You were already in the lead of the championship. You had some good points here. How do you feel about approaching Nürburgring next week? Are you going to be taking it aggressive? Are you going to be taking it easy? How are you feeling?
With the lead I have right now, I think I'm going to do it easy. Like, if someone really wants to go past it, I'm just going to let them. I want the title. I want to step up in class. I said that since Sebring, since like 6 races ago. I want that title, and I'm going to get it. You hear me, guys out there? I'm going to get it.
Well, you have taken 7 wins this season in class, with Stephen Fry being moved out of the amateur class you inherited to over the course of the season. So you have taken those victories. You've been there at the front, taking it easy. You say that now. We'll see how it goes next week. I know how the driver mentality is when you're behind that wheel, but yeah, good luck. I think this championship very much could be yours, Lucas, with just one more round to go.
Yeah, one more round, and see you on the track, guys.
Thank you so much, Lucas, and good luck next week.
You too.
That was Lucas Henschel there, finishing race number 1 first in that amateur class, coming home 3rd in the second race. He's taking a moment, of course, about that incident that we saw occur during race number 2 that knocked him down the order with Ronald de Jong, and it is something that, as he said, he will discuss, and I think that's a good way of approaching that. Let's not jump to conclusions, as I like to do here in the commentary booth. I call a lot of things out as they happen, and sometimes my calls are incorrect, so they'll discuss that. As just another mention on Lucas Henschel, of course, racing today in that special livery that has been custom designed for him, celebrating 8 years of his mum being breast cancer free. And he was talking earlier about the importance of making sure that you the women in your life or in your own lives, that you are checking and making sure that you are all okay, and making sure also that you are supporting others in that journey by donating towards the research that is out there, and linked in both the pinned in both the YouTube and Twitch chats of the stream are some links to the UK site for the breast cancer research, and for the German site for their equivalent breast cancer research as well. So please, if you have anything to spare at this time of the year, then we would, everyone would appreciate, obviously, donation towards such an important cause that is close to many people's hearts, including Lucas Henschel out there today. And I think that taking that win in race number 1 really did mean a lot to him, and he was hoping to get there in race number 2. It wasn't quite to go for him, but a great weekend nonetheless. We will be back next week at the Hockenheimring for round number 9. No, we're not. We're going to be round next week, round number 10 at Nürburgring. We head across for the final round of the season. It is going to be a good one. You could, as we were talking there, we've talked about the championship drivers being in good positions. Lucas Henschel is one of those drivers that has found himself in a very good position going into Nürburgring next week. So it is going to be one of those. It's going to be one of those events where drivers are going to be going for championship points, but some drivers, such as Lucas Henschel, might be taking it a little bit easier here because they have a little bit of work to do with their championship contentions. And for Henschel, he just wants to hold on to the top of that championship that he is holding on to at the moment. He will be wanting just to take it easy, as he said, find those points and win the title. And that's exactly what he said. This title is going to be his. And I'm sure when he says that this title is going to be his, he is being absolutely 100% truthful in that one. He has got a nice lead at the top. It is not confirmed, though. There are still enough points on offer in that championship to potentially have a change. He just needs some decent results, and he'll find those points to take the championship. We will be back next week then at the Nürburgring for the 10th round of Asking. It will be the final round of Season 9 here at the SRL TCR League. However, it is not all stopping. We are full on the go for season number 10, which will be starting at the very start of the 2026 year. And we head towards round number 1 in just the second week of the year. We have got pre-season races coming up before Christmas and one at the very first week of 2026 as well. So you make sure that you're heading across to the SRL Discord if you're not already in there, and you are getting yourself signed up for season number 10. All of the rounds are going to be brought to you live once again by me, Beehive Bill at Beehive Bill Broadcasting, and over on the SRL YouTube channel. Therefore, make sure you're hitting that subscribe button here on the YouTube. You're hitting that thumbs up to show your support as well. And if you're over on the Twitch, hit that follow button. So that way you are notified across all channels when we go live and bring these amazing races for you. Right, we've still got one more round to go. Dan Mould has had a poor race here at Hockenheim. He is not going to be taking these points with him into next week. He'll be re-inheriting points that he has dropped earlier in the season. The updated championship standings will be available in the Discord within, well, they're normally up very, very quickly, so you can have a look at how that championship looks. And make sure that you head across to the Beehive Bill YouTube channel to catch up with the extended highlights from round number 5 onwards, including today's round, which will be up before next week's final event. I hope you have a fantastic week doing whatever it is that you are doing, and you are looking forward to the final round of competition just as much as I am. I hope to see you next week then as we head across to the Nürburgring for the final round of the season. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you next week. Goodbye.